Hey, what's going on? It's just take two of my view on polygamy so far, in terms of how I've been watching it, researching it, I guess. And first video clipped out, so try again with this video. Now, if you clicked on the video already, you're watching right now, it's not super important. It's just a discussion topic of what I think about polygamy so far. I feel like it's a perversion of family, a perversion, not perversion, but like abnormality or a replicate, duplicate of family. Why I say that is because it seems to be these people are missing something, they're lacking something, and therefore they need other people. Now, probably you are one of those people or know somebody in life that constantly needs people around them. Not suicidal or nothing, they just need to see people around them interacting, moving around so they don't feel like they're tripping out or some shit, right? So the documentary I watched was called I Love You and You and You and You and You End of Monogamy. It's on YouTube, 47 minutes long. And another series of videos, short videos, that was on the Oprah Winfrey Network owned, Our America with Lisa Lynn. I think that's what the show is called. But the topic of the show is end of monogamy or polyamorous relationships and whatnot. And I'm watching it, and one thing that's just noticeably out there, obvious, is I mean, it's probably not a white thing, but I seem to see more Caucasians than any other ethnic background, or Europeans than any other ethnic background on these documentaries. And I just Googled African American polygamy, so I'm gonna look that up also. And I just see that as it's just missing something. That's why it exists. It's just a lack of, So therefore, I mean, it kind of works like how the human body works. I think when there's a lack of something, like when there's a lack of a vitamin or a vitamin, a vitamin in the body, or like certain nutrients like calcium and stuff like that, or when there's a lack of something in the body reacts to it by creating pimples on your face or acne on your face, or you fart a lot, or your stomach hurts, something like that. It's a lack of something, and I feel like polygamy is a lack of family. That's what it is. That's what they always say. That's what they've been saying in the video and documentaries, that, oh, I need a family, and it's a good thing, and it's a family unit. And like my example of the first take of this video was that if there's a tribe of 150 people and you're included, and you get attacked and decimated, or it's been 50 years since you've seen the last person in your tribe, if it's you, 3 guys, and like 12 other females, of course there's gonna be polygamy in a way. It has to be. I mean, it has to be. You have to repopulate your tribe. You just have to be. Or your origin, or what? I mean, not your origin, but your culture. You have to do that, obviously, if you really care that much, or just instinctively, you do. But with this polygamy thing, I look at it like something was missing, something happened, therefore they need to meet other like-minded people like themselves and create something. But I see it as it's just like, yeah, it's just like, because I'm looking at them, and all of them seem to be 30 years old and up, or 40 years old and up, glasses, geeky looking, fat. I don't know. I'm not picking on people who are polygamous or whatever. It's just. I guess those are the stereotypes of polygamy people on that documentary. Probably everybody who's in polygamy don't look like that, obviously. However, to me, it's just that there's a lack of something, and that's why they do that. But it's just kind of like I'm trying to think about this. Like, I'm trying to compare it to incest in a way. Because I know it's just like, how can you say incest? And I'm just like, well, because I look at what they're doing, and it seems as if there's a hierarchy. Let's put it like that. There's a hierarchy in the relationships, no matter what you want to say. That means the first couple who initiates it, and even if they run into another polygamous couple who comes into their couple, or I'm trying to say, it's kind of like it's a control thing in a way. I think they want control. I think almost all these lack ofs, like Asexuality. I watched a documentary on that on Netflix. I think all these things are just outbursts of a need for culture and freedom and expression, because there seems to be no expression in the world anymore. Like, it's either, if you're a black guy growing up in the 90s and you're young, you're either going to imitate Martin from the Martin Show on the TV, or you're going to imitate Will Smith from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, or you're going to imitate so on and so on. So I feel like there's not really a lot of expressions of culture here in America. So therefore, you have these kind of like outgrowths, like these kind of spurts of something else. Like, we are the blah 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 community. We are the blah 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 community. I see it as that. But I mean, polygamy has been around possibly more religiously than just kind of normal, like a regular not non-religious polygamy. So, like I said, it spawns from something else. You know what I'm trying to say? When the body can't express itself in the red form, it expresses itself in the blue form, and when it can't express itself in the blue form, it goes to green, then it goes to purple, like so on and so on and so forth. Because to me, it's a just like with the Asexual documentary, going to that a little bit. It was this guy named David J, I think, pretty much following him around, and how he wanted, or he was trying to figure out who he was, um sexually, or his sexual orientation, and he just wasn't, I guess. I watched it once. Don't get off my back. He wasn't sexually attracted to anybody, male or female. He was just kind of like people. And I guess when I was just trying to figure out the whole thing as it was playing, I paused a couple times, like, what's going on. I read the reviews, and I mean, anything can be drawn from that. Anything can be made off of why he did that. Well, he was thinking, he made a chart, and he had a lecture in one of the scenes, and he was like, how he wants to have personal, intimate relationships with everybody versus having it with one person. Now, that's why I brought it up with the polygamy thing, because it's not kind of sort of in the same category, but how it's different is that he didn't want to have sex with anybody he knew. Because I'm guessing he's seen that he's like 25 and 22 in the documentary. He's young, like in his early 20s. Excuse me. He must have seen, it must have been a little bit frightened that, like a lot of people, it's just that sex is everywhere in this culture. It's on TV, it's on cartoons, it's in movies, it's on the internet, it's just like it's in your newspapers, it's everywhere. So it's kind of like you can't escape, and it's kind of like you're being subconsciously told that everyone should just be humping everybody. And I think some people pick up on that. Like me, I've picked up on that too, that feeling of like, wait a second, why is it that it's do this, do that, go here, look at that, buy this dress, buy that pant, buy that, all these things are coming at you trying to imply that you should be humping everybody. And he, at the end of the documentary, I mean, I thought I'll tell you. At the end of the documentary, he kind of felt defeated, because he was like, he didn't want to give that up. He believed that you can have a strong friendship relationship with somebody without having sex, but sex is actually a political, social, and scientific. I think I'm reading this book called Nutricide by Dr. Llaila Afrika, and there's a part in the book that says sex can be used for recreation, but it's actually more important than recreation. So that's what I'm trying to tie it into with the asexual, and I'm trying to tie that asexualism into polygamy. I feel like these are all kind of like these outbursts from like, I don't like what the world is trying to put me into, so therefore I'm going to create my own thing and my own movement and be a part of my own community, or at least find people less like-minded, so we don't have to be entrapped into the normal way of living, how the government and politics and entertainment and the beasts and Illuminati and education, how they're trying to coddle you in. So I think these are all just kind of like outbursts of that. These people just want to culturally express themselves, find their true culture, create their own culture, express themselves, all these things. I feel like I was actually supposed to make this video last night, that America doesn't have a family cultural unit. I mean, possibly white people, but I don't want to say that, but it wasn't my, let's say this, it wasn't my pick. Like I was gonna say white people all along, but it was more so that I was watching episode of Louie from Louie CK, a comedian, on FX, on Netflix, and there was this episode called, it was season 3, episode 3. I don't know if you watched it. I mean, I'm just asking. Called Miami, and he goes down to Miami to do a show, and he stays there, and he gets saved by the summary is he gets saved by a lifeguard, Cuban American lifeguard guy, and but he wasn't drowned. He was kind of like, some guy took up his stuff, so he was like, "Hey, give my stuff back," but the guy thought he was drowning, right? And the whole time throughout the episode, because it's such a short trip for him, he goes, "All right, fuck it, I'll hang out with the guy." These guys like, "Hey, hang out with me, come down to Miami, see the real Miami," and he brought him to. Wait, hold up, I got to burp so much times. So Louis ends up going on like a bike ride on a bicycle or a walk throughout Miami, certain parts of Miami, and the Cuban American guy is showing him, the lifeguard is showing him so much different things and laughing and fun, and Louis having so much fun, and then he gets to the party. It was a party planned for the Cuban American lifeguard was having a party. I tell stories real bad, right? I tell stories reversed and fucking chopped up and shit. But the Cuban American lifeguard was having a family get together, and when Louis got there, he sees so many of his family, like his uncles and cousins and nieces and sisters and mother and auntie. He seen so much of his family, and he was just so blown away. Louis was so blown away. He was like, "Damn, like wow, like this is my aim. This is your family." And the Cuban American guy was just having a good time. Like he was naturally like a happy dude. That's how they depicted him, and Louis ended up overstaying his stay in Miami because he was like he wanted to have that connection to somebody to have fun with. Because what I got out of it is that not white people, but just Americans don't have a culture, since it's a melting pot, right? And what happens when you melt something? You turn into something else, usually not what it originally was. So if I have gold, not gold, my bad, wrong, but if I have solid gold and I turn into liquid gold, most likely if I turn back into solid gold, it won't be the same. You know what I'm trying to say? So that's what I'm trying to say with the whole polygamy and asexual thing, was that it's a call out for culture. It's a lash out for culture. The asexual, polygamy, and other ones, the communities, the movements, they want a culture, because right now there isn't any. There's a Cuban American guy in an episode of Louie. He had his family. There was no alterations of this and that. And I know probably this isn't applied to people who are polygamous and they have a family, but they like to be polygamous. What I'm trying to say is that these movements, social circles, all of these things, communities, they are people screaming at the top of their lungs, wanting and desiring and needing to be human, a human culture. Like America doesn't have a human culture; it has like a beast-like culture. It really isn't something that's natural, and it isn't something that's holistic, and it isn't something that's healthy. It isn't something that's nutritious for you, not through food only, but just visually and socially nutritious. The American lifestyle and culture is not nutritious and healthy for anybody. So therefore, you see polygamy, you see asexualism, you see people deviating from the norm, what's called the norm, and trying to go back to the root, or just create their own root so that they can feel more comfortable in their skin, versus being who they are, realizing these things, but being outcast by people who actually like this normal bullshit. That's crazy. So sometimes it works out for the good, sometimes it doesn't, So with the Asexual documentary, it didn't at the end work out to be good for him, but something. I didn't really follow up with I could Google it and follow up, I didn't. And with the polygamy, to me, that's still not good, because it's okay. John marries Beth. Beth likes Amy. Amy's like, okay, John, are you cool with this? Okay, fine. Yeah, I'm cool with this, Amy. Amy comes along. Now John's like, you know what? I'm tired of jerking off on Saturdays. I want to get me a girlfriend. He gets himself a girlfriend 3 months later at this club, and now Beth's like, oh, hi, new girl. She doesn't really, she cares, but she can't care because she knows, well, if she gets all crazy and crazy with it, like, you can't do that. She's a hypocrite because of she has Amy. So now John's like, yeah, you can't complain. And now like she's like, okay. And now then John is having good whatever, not sex, but just having a good time with his new girlfriend. But then the new girlfriend's like, hey, I met this guy. Do you think he can join the circle? Oh, why not? And then the guy joins. So it's just always it's what I get upset about with this deviations from the norm, which is okay. It's new. It's something. It's innovative. I'm cool with that. However, what I tend to see from my point of view, or tend to think from my point of view, is that these people who do these deviations, these other cultures, create their own culture and abnormalities and different communities and movements, they tend to ride it. What I mean is that they don't just say, okay, I'm going to be this forever. You don't do that. They just say, I'm going to be this, and then when I feel bored with it, I'll just leave. And I feel like that's just it's bullshit to do that. You know what I'm trying to say? It's like we kind of naturally move from one thing to another based off of what we need. But I just don't like the sight of, say you create a Facebook event or a Facebook group and it's 1,000 people and you're like, yeah, 1,000 people. Then next month is 500 people more, so you're like, yeah. And then 3 months later, it drops to 800. Like, what the fuck? Why did it drop to 800? And these people are like, well, kind of this and that, and you look at them like, it's everyone kind of asks themselves personally, why can't other people be as committed as I am? And I think that's one of the things that kind of lead to a giant confusion melting pot. It's really confusing because I may be dedicated to liberation of, say, donut workers, and someone else who likes donuts agrees, but they're not as hard-hitting as I would be. But you just want to see the result of the donut workers getting treated fairly. But I'm sitting here like, no, donut workers are never going to get treated fairly. It's bullshit. Donuts not even good for you. Let's stop doing this. But the other person's like, well, I like donuts, so I don't agree. So now it's like you have to agree with the fuck I believe, but you don't fully agree. And now it's just kind of like, well, where do you fit in? And now they're like, hey, I don't care. So it's kind of like, it's like people are agreeing with different things. So if I agree with the donut shop being closed and the donut workers just being fired and stop making donuts and create a healthy donut or something, right? I'm 100% into that movement and community. However, that person beside me is only 30% into that movement, and the other percentage points are somewhere else. So I feel like if people can't just agree on one thing universally, then you're always going to have these deviations and abnormalities in different communities that's never going to really get anywhere. In my opinion, that's just me. In my opinion, it's never going to really get anywhere because no one can agree on anything. And I think it has to do with if giving certain things up, material goods, beliefs, but I don't know. Probably we're built to be confused. Probably we're built to have differences of opinions and never get anywhere. I don't know. Or probably we're not meant to live on a large scale as we do today. We can live on a planet, but not like stacked upon each other like that and not having each other's. I think what it is though is I'll end it here too. I think what it is that ultimately we all need our space. And sometimes people kind of give up on that. So you say, you know what? Instead of me getting my space away from people, I'm going to do the reverse. I'm going to have everybody next to me. And it's just, I know it doesn't really make sense, but that's how I'm thinking about people getting through their things they think about every day. Like someone can believe in something. Like the David J guy in the Asexuality documentary on Netflix. He was like, yeah, this is what I like. This is cool. It works for me. And then they said 2 years later, at the final interview, he was like one of his lesbian friends that he was clicking with, and she liked him too, but she found a girl, and she was like, we like each other. And then her relationship with David just couldn't materialize as it used to be, so that kind of faltered. And then another couple that he knows he's very cool with, he was gonna move in with them, but then their plans changed and they moved away or they did something, and now his connection with her changed. So all these things changed for him. So he had to end up giving up what he believes. So I think it's kind of like a compromise or a fight of beliefs that everybody's having with one another. Like I believe in red, but you believe in blue, and instead of making purple, we're just gonna make dark red and then dark blue and then light blue and then light red, and it's never really gonna get sorted out. But me personally, I think that people having their space is very essential. Not saying everyone needs to have 50 acres, but just people need their natural space. So when you go outside, it's just them and the weather and the wind. Like I feel like there needs to be more of a connection to nature, so we can get back to our human nature versus this human. This isn't really human nature what we're doing. It's not. It's just that we're in we're in a certain situation with certain circumstances that don't allow us to do what we naturally need to do. That's why I say having space is very essential. You know what I'm trying to say. So that's just a long-winded rant about polygamy. I guess a little bit of asexuality, but just watching a dumbass documentary and noticing a couple in the documentary. Teresa, Scott and Larry. Scott and Teresa got married, and then Teresa either introduced it to Scott that she wants somebody else, or that they could do that, and then he kind of, to me, he caved. He caved, and then Larry kind of got into the mix, and now Teresa gets both best of both worlds. You know what I'm trying to say? I think that if everybody was to essentially get their needs provided for, then certain things like these movements and communities wouldn't even happen. That's what I think. So I think when the stream of necessities and resources and time and materials, I think when that stream is altered or fucked with or changed, people adapt to do different things so that it's not missing. Because everybody wants to operate at 100%, but if the system fucks with you and now you're operating at 65%, you're gonna think about something to do to fill that 35%. Find somebody that's in the same situation, but everybody wants to operate at 100%, so they'll do whatever it takes to operate at that 100%. So this is PG28 signing off with this long video. I mean, it can spark some comments. I'll be. If I'm wrong, I'm right. I want to know what you think. You know, definitely, this is something that it's not really noteworthy, but it's something that it makes you think. It makes you think. So